What's up, everybody? This is the Sports League podcast with your host, Alex Leak, and this is the 2023 NFL season preview. The season kicks off on Thursday night, and we can't wait to get it underway. The Lions at the Chiefs. And so, this is our last episode of previewing the season. Enough talk. Let's get these games going. And I'm going to quickly go through and talk about what I expect in each division from each team and how this season's gonna unfold. So for the Buffalo Bills, um, we're gonna start with the Buffalo Bills in the AFC East, and a great team. Josh Allen, one of the best quarterbacks in the entire league. He's got tons of weapons around him. Gabe Davis, Stephon Diggs, a two-headed monster at tight end with Dawson Knox, Dalton Kincaid. Von Miller is going to start the season on the pup list and miss the first four games, but once he comes back and healthy, that provides a huge boost in the pass rush to go with Greg Rousseau, Leonard Floyd, Ed Oliver. I'm a big Tre'Davious White fan. So looking at the Bills, week one, Monday Night Football at the Jets is going to be a great game. And I think it's a big game because the Jets have added Aaron Rodgers and Dalvin Cook, and they're trying to steal this division away from Buffalo. The Bills have owned this division for a couple of years now, and the Jets are trying to take that step and win the division. And, you know, it's a big deal for whoever wins a very competitive division. The Jets, Bills, Dolphins, all very evenly matched. Even the Patriots are not a bad team. I think they're better than they were last year, and they almost made the playoffs last year. So this is going to be a hard-fought division. Looking at the Bills, I got the Bills winning between 10 and 12 games and battling for first place. But again, Monday Night Football, week one, you can easily say week one isn't that big of a deal. I think that game at the Jets is a big deal because if the Bills can win that one in New York, that puts them in a great position to sweep the series because they'll have a home game against them later. If the Jets win it, then that's a statement win for the Jets, and it says, we're here, we're the team to beat in this division, we're going to try to steal it. So either way, Monday Night Football in week one is going to be a huge deal. I can't wait for this game. But again, for the Bills, I got them winning 10 to 12 games and battling for first place. And if I'm going to put a number on it, I think the Bills win. If I say 10 to 12, I think they win 11, go 11 and 6. It's a more competitive division, so it's going to be more hard fought. I don't think anyone runs away with the AFC East. I think 12 wins is the max that anybody's going to get, and they're just going to beat each other up, in that division. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and we'll see whoever wins the AFC East is going to be very battle tested, and going to be a tough team to beat come playoff time. And if any team like the Bills or the Jets or maybe even the Dolphins have Super Bowl aspirations, you need that home field advantage in the playoffs. You don't want to, limp into the playoffs and then have to play three consecutive road games just to get to the Super Bowl, right? You want to have at least one or two playoff games at home. So we'll see if the Bills can, continue to own this division and keep the Jets, from stealing it. And that starts week one on Monday Night Football. I can't wait for the season to get started. Let's go to the Miami Dolphins. Who are a better team too, a much improved team. And the big question I have for the Dolphins is the question everybody has: can Tua stay healthy? Right? He battled concussions last year, and and it missed missed 4 games in the regular season, and then missed the playoff game. So you need Tua to be healthy, especially late in the season, especially for the playoffs, right? You're not going to win in the playoffs with Mike White or Skylar Thompson. Even though Skylar Thompson played pretty well, you're not going to win a playoff game with either of those two. You have to have a healthy Tua in order for this Dolphins team to go where they want to go. They did a great job in hiring Vic Fangio as defensive coordinator. That's a great hire. Vic Fangio's had multiple defensive units who have led the league in turnovers. Then you add Jalen Ramsey to go opposite Xavier Howard. That's probably the best corner duo in the NFL when healthy. And the thing that sucks is Jalen Ramsey suffered that meniscus injury that required surgery. He's going to miss a pretty good chunk of time. But as long as you get him healthy in November or December and ready to go by the time the playoffs roll around, that's key, and then if you're playing your best football in December, you can make up some ground and get into the playoffs. I don't see the Dolphins winning this division. Like I said, it's a very tough division. The Jets and the Bills, in my opinion, are the two best teams. The Dolphins are the third best. I got them winning between 9 and 11 wins and battling for second place. And maybe this is a division where three teams make the playoffs. But it's going to be tough, and a healthy Tua is everything. We know that Tua's been taking jiu-jitsu training, trying to help learn how to fall the right way and not take hits to the head. Again, all that can kind of get thrown out the window when you're in live speed and getting blindsided, hit when you're not expecting it, thrown down. There's only so much you can do to protect yourself. I know Tua put on some muscle and is practicing jiu-jitsu and all that. So hopefully we all want to see Tua stay healthy, stay on the field, not deal with these concussions because that's scary. I mean, remember that hit he took last year? We don't want to see any of that this year. So hopefully for the Dolphins' sake, Tua can stay healthy, and we want to see how good this Dolphins team can be at full strength. Also, I really love the draft pick of Devon Achane, the third-round running back. He's an absolute baller, and if he's healthy, he got banged up in the preseason. If he's healthy, he can provide a lot to this offense. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how the Dolphins look this year. Again, I've got them winning between 9 and 11 games and battling for second place in the division. But I think the Jets and the Bills are the two best teams. I have some questions about head coach Mike Macdonald. I'm not a huge fan of his. I think, I'm picky about head coaches. I think there's a lot of coordinators that get head coaching jobs that are better off as coordinators. There's very few head coaches that are true head coaches that I trust, that are leaders of the locker room, leaders of men, and are smart about situational decision making, not being too aggressive, being balanced on offense, taking the points when they're there, stuff like that. That's what I value in a head coach, especially nowadays. And Mike Macdonald still has some stuff to prove to me in that regard, but he had a good first year, and we'll see if they can build on it here in year two. So Dolphins are going to be in the hunt for the playoffs. Big question is, can Tua stay healthy and be healthy at the end of the year to help get this team into the playoffs? Now let's go to the New England Patriots, who add, what were they doing? All of us knew last year, what are you doing at offensive coordinator with Joe Judge and Matt Patricia? Like, come on now. And no wonder Mac Jones had a rough second year with those two calling plays. Like, get out of here with that experiment. That was a failed experiment. Bill Belichick deserves to take some heat for that one. But he deserves some credit for learning from that mistake and going and get a well-established offensive coordinator in Bill O'Brien, a guy who had a lot of success at the Texans with Deshaun Watson and developed Watson into the weapon we saw early in his career. So Bill O'Brien coming in, I expect Mac Jones to have a much better year. And so we'll see. It's the Patriots need Mac Jones to have a bounce back year to get this team where they want to be. They also add veteran running back Ezekiel Elliott to go with Ramondre Stevenson, and I like that as well. Good, a veteran a guy who's won a lot of games, a locker room leader, and Zeke Elliott. If he buys into the Patriot way, he can be a great addition. The Patriots also add Juju Smith-Schuster. A rookie wide receiver that I really like is Kayshon Boutte out of LSU. He looks like, he's got a lot of potential. They got Hunter Henry, Mike Gesicki at tight end. A good defense. You add corner Christian Gonzalez opposite Jonathan Jones. That's a hell of a 1-2 combo at corner. So the Patriots are going to be an excellent team, a more improved team than they were last year. In a very tough division, though, very competitive, I got the Patriots winning between 8 to 10 wins. So if the wheels fall off, they could miss the playoffs and go 8-9. But if they get it together and play the way I think they're capable of, they could go 10-7 and maybe finish third place in that division and battle for second place and maybe sneak into the playoffs. So I'm very interested to see how the Patriots perform this year. It's a big year for New England because they're getting a little bit of criticism of late after getting blown out in that playoff game against Buffalo, missing the playoffs last year. They need to get it together here and have a much better 2023 to get the respect back, and Mac Jones needs to improve, and hopefully Bill O'Brien can help get that done. Let's go to the New York Jets, who the big story here is adding Aaron Rodgers, right? And then along with adding Aaron Rodgers, we saw this in Tampa Bay. They got Tom Brady, and then all these veterans come in, and everyone wants to try to team up to go win a championship, right? Now you're seeing that same thing here in New York. You add Aaron Rodgers at the end of his career, who's still very talented. Credit to Aaron Rodgers. He reworks his deal and takes a $35 million pay cut, signs a 2-year, fully guaranteed $75 million deal. That allows the team to bring in running back Dalvin Cook, who people forget almost had 1,500 yards and had 10 touchdowns last year. He's a hell of a running back. And he got his shoulder fixed. Now he's 100%. So look out for Dalvin Cook. Now you got Breece Hall coming back after injury. Those two, once they get fully healthy, are going to be one of the scariest running back duos in the entire league. I mean, I'm telling you. And then you got Aaron Rodgers at receiver. You've got Garrett Wilson at wide receiver. Ironically, wearing the number 17, he's going to look just like Davante Adams, but Aaron Rodgers slinging the ball to him. The Green Bay connection, they bring in Allen Lazard. They bring in Randall Cobb. They bring in safety Adrian Amos. We call them the New York Packers if you want. But they're better than the Packers have been. This might be the best team around Aaron Rodgers that he's had at least since he was back in his prime, back when they were going 14-2 or 15-1 and contending for Super Bowls. So this is a great team around Aaron Rodgers. They also bring in McCole Hardman. We'll see, how Dwayne Brown and Mekhi Becton do on the offensive line at protecting him. But a great running back room, like I mentioned, a great defense. Quinnen Williams was absolutely tearing it up in camp and preseason. And then you got Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed at corner. This Jets team is loaded with talent. He drafted Will McDonald, right? A pass rusher. You got Jermaine Johnson, who you drafted last year. So the Jets are going to be very dangerous. And it starts with week 1, right? The home opener on Monday Night Football, national TV, the entire country watching. Can the Jets start the year out right, beat the Bills? And the Jets need to win the division. They want that home field. You don't want to have to go to Buffalo in the playoffs, or to Kansas City. You want that home field. So we'll see how good this Jets team can be. But they need to start it out right away and show it in week 1 and get that win. I got the Jets winning. Again, a very tough division. I don't see anyone running away with it. I got the Jets winning between 10 and 12 wins and battling for first place with the Buffalo Bills. Um, and I think adding Dalvin Cook is a huge addition. To me, that's what put this team up over the edge. I got the Jets winning this division. I've picked the Bills the last couple of years. I got the Jets winning it this year. Aaron Rodgers reuniting with his former Packers offensive coordinator, Nathaniel Hackett, who had a terrible year as head coach in Denver. But now he's one of those guys, like I mentioned, that's a much better coordinator than he is head coach. And I like him reuniting with Rodgers, being the OC. They have built-in chemistry already, and then you got Alan Lazard, Garrett Wilson. I mean, Aaron Rodgers and Garrett Wilson is going to be a special combination right there. So this is going to be a fun year, Jets fans. Best quarterback you guys have had since Joe Namath. Aaron Rodgers, when he got there, said that Lombardi trophy's looking a little lonely, there. So we'll see if Aaron Rodgers can deliver the goods, right? Can he get this team into the playoffs? Can he get them to the conference championship game? What if we're looking at a Chiefs Jets AFC championship game? How much fun would that be, Jets fans? You know what I mean? So can't wait for the season to get started. I got the Jets winning the division, and it's going to be a very tough battle between them and the Bills, and we'll see how good the Dolphins and Patriots can be as well. I think that AFC East is going to be an absolute battle all season long. Let's go to the AFC North. Again, a very competitive division. We'll start with the Baltimore Ravens, who have a happy and healthy Lamar Jackson. They sign him to a new deal. That gets, he doesn't have to worry about getting hurt. Now he knows he's protected with that 5-year, $260 million deal, 185 of it guaranteed. You add Lamar Jackson, a former league MVP, to what last year was a top 5 defense. To me, and a much better receiving core now. To me, the Ravens have a Super Bowl window, in my opinion. This is a very talented team on paper. You talk about adding Odell Beckham Jr. You talk about adding Zay Flowers out of Boston College, a first-round pick. This Ravens team is very talented. And then that defense is nasty. And the addition, ever since trading for Roquan Smith last year, midseason, that defense became one of the best defenses in all of football. So now we didn't get to see Lamar Jackson with that defense. We saw Tyler Huntley. So now we get to see Lamar Jackson healthy and happy with more weapons around him and that defense. I'm telling you, it's going to be special in Baltimore. A very tough division. They're going to be battling with the Bengals for first place. I got the Ravens winning between 10 to 12 games. The Bengals are going nowhere. They got a lot of talent too. They've been to the AFC Championship game 2 years in a row. So the Ravens have to prove they can do better than the Bengals, right? It starts with winning that division. They need to prove that they're for real and that they can win that division and beat the Bengals for that. And we'll see if they can do it. The big question here is the elephant in the room is Lamar Jackson has gotten hurt the last 2 seasons at the same time of year, right around week 11, week 12. So the question is, can he stay healthy for a full season? He's done it before, but he hasn't done it for 2 years in a row now. He needs to prove that he can stay healthy, be healthy for the stretch run, because you're going to need him to beat the Bengals for this division and then go on a deep playoff run. We've seen Lamar lead the Ravens to a playoff win. Let's see if he can take them to a conference championship or further. So a big year for the Ravens in that regard. I can't wait. I've adopted the Ravens as my favorite AFC team. I'm a Chicago Bears fan. They traded away Roquan to the Ravens. I hated that move as a Bears fan. And Roquan goes to the Ravens. They're a top 5 defense. I'm a Ravens fan. I liked Roquan Smith well before he was a Bear. Loved him at Georgia. So I am going to follow Roquan to the Ravens. I love Lamar Jackson, Odell Beckham Jr., all these weapons they have, Marlon Humphrey, etc. So go Ravens. Let's see if they can dethrone the Bengals and go on a deep playoff run. That'd be a lot of fun to watch. So there's my Ravens take. Let's go to the Cincinnati Bengals, who again have sky high expectations, right? They've been to the Super Bowl. They've been to back-to-back conference championships. Um, they survived an injury scare early in training camp with Joe Burrow straining his calf. The big question is, does Joe Burrow miss any time? It doesn't look like he will. It looks like he's good to go for week one. And can they, continue with status quo, right? This Bengals team is absolutely loaded with, you talk about Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. You add in Irv Smith Jr., who's one of my favorite tight ends, followed him since Bama, interviewed his dad a couple weeks ago. Joe Mixon at running back, hell of a running back, reminds me of Le'Veon Bell, you know, and then a very good defense as well. Logan Wilson got paid. Again, that wasn't a hold on Logan Wilson in the Super Bowl against the Rams. That was, BS. And so the Bengals need to get that bad taste out of their mouth. They were 3-0 against the Chiefs until that AFC Championship game, and then they lost in the Conference Championship after trying to make the Super Bowl 2 years in a row. So Joe Burrow has been a winner. We saw him win a natty at LSU. We saw him take this Bengals team on multiple deep playoff runs. Can he do it again? The Ravens are better. Lamar's healthy. The Steelers are better. The Browns are going to be better, in my opinion. This is a very competitive division. So we'll see if Joe Burrow can lead this team back. This is going to be the toughest year, in my opinion. If Lamar stays healthy for the stretch run, I think Ravens and Bengals are going to be battling till the final week. Week 18 on who's going to win this division. And, it's going to be tough. It's going to be a lot of fun. Bengals and Ravens play each other week 2 in Cincinnati, so we're going to get an early test. Bengals right off the bat are at the Browns and versus the Ravens, so you're going to get a very good early season look at how competitive this division is, and we'll see if the Bengals get out to 2-0 start or 1-1 or how that falls. But Bengals fans don't want to hear anything other than another deep playoff run, and they want to get back to the Super Bowl. So we'll see if they can do that. They added Myles Murphy, pass rusher out of Clemson, DJ Turner at corner, a good corner out of Michigan. Mike Hilton, Chidobe Awuzie. They got the talent. Sam Hubbard, Trey Hendrickson. 2 excellent pass rushers. So we'll see how this Bengals team does. But, I got them winning 10-12, battling for the Ravens for first place. We'll see who wins that division, a very tough division. And whoever does will be very battle-tested, just like the AFC East. And the playoffs are going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait for this season, man. You can tell just by the season preview already how much fun this season's going to be. Now let's go to the Cleveland Browns, who, Deshaun Watson signed that huge deal, fully guaranteed, was it $230 million contract, and a disappointing year last year. But Watson was suspended for the first 6 games, and you could tell that hurt. He got out to a slow start, and they weren't really contenders last year, right? And they missed the playoffs. Now this is the year for the Browns to bounce back, right? For Deshaun Watson to bounce back, and for this Browns team to show what they truly are in a very tough division. And I don't think Browns fans are going to be satisfied with anything less than a playoff trip. You got a weapon like Deshaun Watson. I fully expect him to bounce back. We saw how good Deshaun Watson was with the Texans. Remember, he had a 24-0 lead on Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs in the playoffs. So Deshaun Watson is capable. We've seen him win a natty at Clemson, beating Bama and Nick Saban. Deshaun Watson is fully capable of taking a team to the promised land. And so we need to see that in Cleveland this year. That's why you traded for Deshaun Watson in the middle of all that drama and were criticized for it. The reason the Browns are willing to do that and willing to pay him all that money guaranteed is because they saw the potential, the talent that he has. And it's up to Kevin Stefanski and Alex Van Pelt to get that out of him. And he's got weapons around him, right? He's got Amari Cooper, Donovan Peoples-Jones, David Njoku. How about rookie wide receiver Cedric Tillman out of Tennessee? Another great weapon coming in. Nick Chubb at running back. So the expectations need to be high for this Browns team. I know they're in a very tough division, but they have the talent to go win it. You got Myles Garrett, who's one of the best pass rushers, if not the best, in the entire league. And then you go and add Zadarius Smith to that. A great addition there. You've got Denzel Ward in that secondary. You've got Grant Delpit, Juan Thornhill, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. The talent is there. Dalvin Tomlinson from Minnesota. The talent is obviously there in Cleveland. So can you prove it during the regular season and get to the playoffs? And you're going to see it right off the bat for the Browns as they're playing 2 divisional games right off the bat. At home against the Bengals in week 1, which is going to be an absolutely great game. Go Browns. I'm going to pick the Browns to win that game. I'm going to be wearing my Deshaun Watson jersey and rooting for the Browns in that game. We'll see if they can get it done. Very tough game, but it starts there, right, Cleveland? You don't want to start the season 0-1 because you got at the Steelers in week 2 and then the Titans and Ravens at home weeks 3 and 4. So right off the bat, 4 tough games. So if the Browns can come out of that 2-2 or 3-1, that's a win, and then get ready for the stretch run. So Browns fans, you better hit the ground running, be ready to go. I think the Browns win 8 to 10 wins is my pick. Right, the wheels could come off. Deshaun Watson could struggle again, and they go 8-9. But I don't expect that to happen. And it's such a tough division that 10-7 would be a success, in my opinion. So if the Browns can win 9 or 10 wins, and most importantly, sneak into the playoffs, finish second in that division, that would be a huge win for this organization who wants to get back to the playoffs and, see what they can do. So I'm looking forward to the Browns this year as well, and I wish them nothing but success. Let's go to the Pittsburgh Steelers, who, again, second-year quarterback Kenny Pickett, second-year wide receiver George Pickens. You got Pat Freiermuth, Najee Harris. Jaylen Warren is coming on. You add Allen Robinson, who I don't know. Deontay Johnson's going to be that wide receiver too. I don't know what to expect out of Allen Robinson anymore. But you got weapons. You got, George Pickens has looked like an absolute monster. His rookie year, he looked great. And this preseason, he's looked, and camp, he's looked unbelievable. Like, I said it in the draft. I said it coming out of Georgia. George Pickens reminds me of DK Metcalf and A.J. Brown and these stud wide receivers. Like, why the hell are these guys falling? These should be top 20 at least picks, and they're falling to the second and third round for what reason I have no clue. George Pickens is a monster. I wish my Bears had drafted him, but he's a great weapon for the Steelers, and Kenny Pickett benefits greatly from having a guy like George Pickens who he can throw the ball up to, and Pickens will go get it and make a spectacular catch. That's so valuable. Pat Freiermuth is an excellent tight end. Najee Harris is an excellent running back. Jaylen Warren, a hell of a running back number 2. You got T.J. Watt, right, the leader of the defense. Minkah Fitzpatrick. You add Patrick Peterson. You can tell just by that breakdown right there how competitive this AFC North is going to be. And I got the Steelers. I'm less high on the Steelers than anybody else in this division. But I still recognize their talent, recognize that I think George Pickens is going to have a monster season. So, I got them winning between 7 and 9 wins in a very tough division again. They might go 7-10, and everyone's going to say that's a horrible season, right? Steeler fans will not be happy with that at all. Mike Tomlin has never had a losing record, a losing season in his head coaching career. So I expect the Steelers team to win 9 games, go 9-8. And if they do, is that enough to get into the playoffs? I don't know because it's such a tough division. It's such a tough conference. And you're going to have the Browns right there. And the Bengals and Ravens are the class of the division, in my opinion. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how this division pans out. They need TJ Watt to be healthy. He hasn't played in more than 15 games since 2019, only played in 10 games last year. They need him to be healthy, return to that 2021 form. And if he does, maybe that's enough to get this team to 9 or 10 wins and into the playoffs. Or I've actually got this team 8 to 10 wins. Sorry, not 7 to 9, 8 to 10 wins. So if they can get to 10 wins, that might be enough to get them into the playoffs. 9 and 8, I don't think so. It's going to be tough, and they definitely don't want to go 8 and 9. Mike Tomlin won't be happy with 8 and 9. So we'll see what happens. Very tough AFC North, very tough AFC East. Let's move on to the AFC South, where let's start with the Houston Texans. Rookie head coach DeMeco Ryans, former Texans linebacker from 2006 to 2011. You draft C.J. Stroud, number 2 overall out of Ohio State, 6'3", 215, built like an NFL quarterback, strong arm, underrated mobility. We all saw what he could do against Georgia in the college football playoff. Should have led them to a win. A great game, great performance there. And I think the Texans are still building, right? I love the trade back up to draft Will Anderson Jr., number 3 overall out of Bama, a sack machine, 34 and a half sacks since 2020. You put him opposite Jonathan Grenard. Love that combo. But I do think it's going to be a work in progress. I don't expect the Texans to win a lot this first season. You got a rookie head coach, a rookie quarterback. Um, they do have some talent, though. I mean, look at it. You add Dalton Schultz at tight end, who's an excellent tight end. You add Robert Woods at wide receiver. You've got 2 nice rookies in Xavier Hutchinson and Tank Dell. And then on top of that, you got a guy that hasn't played yet in John Mechie, who we're all happy to see him back on the field after his bout with leukemia, fully healthy now. Congrats. Great news there. And I can't wait to see John Mechie on the field for this Texans team. Him and Tank Dell, that's scary, bro. That's scary. And Nico Collins is an excellent wide receiver. Dalton Schultz is that safety blanket tight end who's always going to be open. You got Dameon Pierce at running back, who's one of the more underrated running backs in the NFL. Devin Singletary, who started a ton of games for Buffalo as your running back number 2. So I love what the Texans are building. Derek Stingley Jr., Jalen Petre, Denzel Perriman, they got talent. It's just a work in progress. How soon until this team starts winning? I don't think it's going to happen a lot this year. I got them winning 5 to 7 games. They could easily go 7 and 10. I don't see them going 8 and 9. I could see them 6 and 11, 5 and 12. This team is still a work in progress. And C.J. Stroud is going to have his bumps in the road as a rookie. Every rookie quarterback does. Even Trevor Lawrence and Andrew Luck and Peyton Manning struggled as rookies. So there's gonna be a learning curve. And so we'll see. But I like CJ Stroud. I think he's got potential to be an excellent quarterback in the NFL. And I'm looking forward to seeing how competitive this Texans team will be in 2023. I just don't have them going to the playoffs. And I think you can understand why. Texans fans are hungry and desperate for a winning team, a winning culture. But trust the process. Trust DeMeco Ryans. Trust CJ Stroud. Trust the weapons they're putting around them. That GM that they got over there, I forget his name, Nick Caserio, I believe. Trust in him. The Texans are building it the right way. And we'll see, how many, maybe 2024, they're contending for the playoffs. It can be that quick. So let's go Indianapolis Colts. who I've got some things to say about this Colts team. And if you're a Colts fan, how can you be happy with what this team is doing? I mean, I do love the Anthony Richardson pick. I think that's the right pick. Uh, number 4 overall. I mean, look at him. He's 6'4", 230 with elite athleticism, a cannon of an arm. Accuracy is the big question, and he's a raw prospect, much like Trey Lance, but you put him in the right situation and build around him, he can be an absolute star in this league, no doubt about it. He's got all the tools to do it. I mean, how do you stop an athlete like that? He gets out in the open field running the ball, even on sacks. He can shrug off a lot of sacks just because of his size. I love Anthony Richardson. But outside of that, I'm not quite sure what this team is doing. And I'm not quite sure what Jim Irsay, or the GM or what this Colts team is doing. The way they've treated Jonathan Taylor has been trash, in my opinion. Irsay started all that by tweeting, like there was no need for any of that animosity, but Jim Irsay couldn't keep his fingers off the tweets, you know. Um, and that's I don't understand that. Like, what's the best thing for Anthony Richardson? What's going to help him be successful more than anything? A weapon like Jonathan Taylor next to him in that backfield. And you take him away from that and replace him with, let me check, Zach Moss or Deion Jackson or Evan Hull. That's not it. That scares nobody. And he's got some weapons on the outside. He's got Michael Pittman Jr. and Alec Pierce. Rookie Josh Downs, who I like, good draft pick there in the 3rd round out of North Carolina. The offensive line needs to be much better than it was last year. They left Matt Ryan out to dry last year, out to die really, and so many forced turnovers by letting him get hit, letting him get blindsided. Um, this defense, if Shaq Leonard is healthy, if DeForest Buckner's out there, if Julian Blackmon, the Colts defense can be good, not great. I mean, I don't think they're a top 5 defense, but maybe top 10, at least top 15. Good pick, a Juju Brents at corner, in the 2nd round at Kansas State. So they're, they're not a bad team, but can they can Jim Irsay stay out of the way, right? And I don't know what's going on with this team. Um, you know, I don't know, and I don't expect this team to win a lot this year. Gardner Minshew, you would like if you're going to take a pick like Anthony Richardson. Look what the Texans got. They got Davis Mills, who can step in if CJ Stroud struggles. You know what I mean, or if he's getting killed. The Colts don't have that. Gardner Minshew, I guess, is a decent backup, but he's not a starting quarterback. He's 2-10 in his last 12 starts. If I were the Colts, I would have brought back Matt Ryan and had Anthony Richardson sit behind Matt Ryan for as long as possible. You know? But instead, you're throwing Anthony Richardson to the Wolves week 1. And much like with the Texans, Richardson is going to have his struggles as a rookie. And, just like Trey Lance, he's a raw prospect, and he's going to have his ups and downs. He's going to turn the ball over at times. He's going to make some inaccurate throws, some bad decisions at times. But you have to let him work through that and learn from experience, right? The bottom line with Indy, I don't understand the Jonathan Taylor stuff. I would pay Jonathan Taylor. I'd pay him what he wants. He's one of the best running backs in the entire league. And the Colts are not – they're a much worse team without Jonathan Taylor, who, by the way, is going to start the season on the PUP list and miss the first 4 games. So I think the Colts are going to struggle mightily. I think they're a 5 or 6 win team. And we'll see. They're going to need to keep continuing to build around Anthony Richardson, and in my opinion, my first thing that I would do is keep Jonathan Taylor for Anthony Richardson. The entire reason you draft Anthony Richardson is to think about that combination, think about that backfield. How do you defend a backfield with Anthony Richardson and Jonathan Taylor? I mean, you know, no defender wants to tackle either of those guys. So I'm not really sure what the Colts are doing. I am seeing some positives in what they're building, but I just wish Ursay would stay out of the way with this Jonathan Taylor stuff and bust out the checkbook and pay him. I don't get not paying Josh Jacobs, Dalvin Cook, Saquon Barkley, Jonathan Taylor. Look at the stats. Look at the production. Use your eyes. Fuck the analytics. Use your eyes and look what they do for your ball club on a week in, week out basis in the NFL during the season. How much they produce on the field and help you win football games. But it's not that simple, I guess. We're just gonna hide behind analytics says don't pay running backs. Bullshit, in my opinion, but whatever. Let's move on. Let's go to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Um, you know, this is the year, Jaguar fans. This is the year. Expectations are high. Um, and you got Trevor Lawrence, I believe, going into his third year, right? And he's already won a playoff game, and not just any playoff game, a 27-point comeback in the playoffs. He struggled early in that game, threw 3 or 4 first half interceptions, but guess what? He didn't let that get into his head. He didn't get scared and start overthinking it. He kept slinging the ball, and he led that team back from down 27 nothing to win that playoff game against Justin fucking Herbert. So not Jonathan, Trevor Lawrence is, he reminds me, he's got some Peyton Manning type qualities. I said that at the beginning of last year. And the sky is the ceiling this year, and it's not just Trevor Lawrence. It's getting Calvin Ridley on that offense, right? Calvin Ridley, I mean, I get he hasn't really, you know, we haven't seen him do anything in the NFL since 2020. But in 2020, he had 90 catches for 9 touchdowns in 15 games. So getting Calvin Ridley healthy and back on the field for a weapon for Trevor Lawrence to throw to, look out. Look out. That's going to be nasty. And I love the addition of Evan Ingram last year. He goes for a career high 73 catches. Evan Ingram with Trevor Lawrence, that's a match made in heaven and a great weapon for Trevor Lawrence that he feels comfortable with. You also got Zay Jones, Christian Kirk, Jamal Agnew. I like Parker Washington, the 6th-round pick out of Penn State. You draft Tank Bigsby to go with Travis Etienne as a 1-2 punch at running back. I absolutely love what this Jags team is building. You got Josh Allen as a pass rusher. You got Devin Lloyd you took in the first round. Trayvon Walker you took number 1 overall. Rayshon Jenkins. You add Darius Williams. I like a lot what this Jags team is building, and I think this is going to be a great year. Now, some people are just, saying that the Jags are going to win the division no matter what. And this is where I pump the brakes a little bit. I think the Titans are a threat still, and especially after adding DeAndre Hopkins. And it's not just D Hop. You add him to Traylon Burks, and you still got Derek motherfucking Henry over there. So and Mike Vrabel's a hell of a coach. So don't count out the Titans if you're a Jags fan. But the Jags have division championship expectations, and there's no reason they shouldn't win 10 to 12 games this year. So if you go 12-5, you should win the division. You go 10-7, that might open the door for Tennessee. So take care of business, win the games you're supposed to win. You got the talent to do it. Trevor Lawrence has the ability to have an MVP type season in the entire league. So get it done, Jags. Go win 12-5. Go do 12-5. Win that division. Get a home playoff game. Right. We'll see if they can do it. And it's gonna be fun. And I can't wait to see how good this Jags team looks this season. Let's look at their schedule real quick. At Colts, week 1, I got the Jags. And then week 2 is a hell of a game. Chiefs at Jags. And as of right now, I'm picking Jacksonville to win that game. We'll see if Travis Kelce's available. It looks like defensive tackle Chris Jones will not be, based on everything we've seen. So take advantage of that and get the dub. On paper, I got the Jags starting the season 4-0, and that includes beating the Chiefs in week 2. So go prove me right, Jacksonville. Let's see if you can do it. Can't wait for this season to get started. Let's go to the Tennessee Titans, who I just talked about a little bit. Mike Vrabel is one of the best coaches in all of the NFL, and they're getting back a healthy Ryan Tannehill, which is huge. We'll see how long he can stay healthy. He's been injured, a little bit of late, but if he can stay healthy, this team has a lot of talent. You've still got Derrick Henry, who people want to act like Derrick Henry fell off or something. Derrick Henry combined for like 2,000 yards last year, right? Let me look this up because I saw multiple people saying that Derrick Henry isn't the same Derrick Henry anymore. And I say disagree strongly. Derrick Henry is a MF and freight train, and he combined for 1,936 yards, which is the second most of his career last year. So I don't know who these people are saying he fell off. Maybe they are looking back to 2021 when he only played 8 regular season games. He started 16 games last year and combined for damn near 2,000 yards and 13 touchdowns. So I don't know who you are saying Derrick Henry fell off, but you're wrong. And then you add DeAndre Hopkins to go opposite Treylon Burks. Look out. Treylon Burks is a hell of a receiver. Now he gets to be wide receiver 2, and a lot of attention going to go to DeAndre Hopkins. And there's some people that say D-Hop has fallen off too. Disagree strongly. If you watched DeAndre Hopkins last year at all, he was still really good for the Cardinals when he played. And I remember tweeting last year that D-Hop might still have some of the best hands in the entire league when he was playing last year. So if D-Hop can stay healthy, that's the big question mark with the Titans this year, is can they stay healthy? Can Tannehill, Derrick Henry, D-Hop, and Treylon Burks play the majority of the games? If they can, this is a playoff team. And they got guys on defense. You got Danico Autry, Jeffrey Simmons. I love the Azeez Al-Shaair ad. Harold Landry, Kevin Byard. I love Sean Murphy Bunting coming over. Christian Fulton. This team is talented. And then you got Tyjae Spears, the rookie, 3rd-round pick. I like that ad. And my boy Malik Willis had a great preseason and has solidified himself as quarterback number 2, the backup. If Tannehill has to miss some time, I fully believe Malik Willis is a much improved quarterback from last year, and he can come in and win some games, especially if he has those weapons around him. So everybody needs to back off with this Titans disrespect because it's unfounded, and I disagree with it. I have the Titans winning between 9 and 11 wins. I think this team at least goes 9-8, and I think they make the playoffs. That's how strongly I believe in this Titans team. I think the doubters and the haters is disrespectful. This Titans team we've seen this team go to the AFC Championship game before. So, and DeAndre Hopkins is still a baller, and so is Derrick Henry, and no one wants to tackle or defend either of those guys when healthy. So, look out for the Titans this year. Do not count this team out. I tweeted it today. Don't count them out. Let's go to the AFC West. And let's start off with the Denver Broncos. And the big news this offseason is hiring head coach Sean Payton. And Sean Payton got some backlash and created some headlines when he said that Nathaniel Hackett And that Broncos coaching staff might have been the worst coaching staff or worst coaching job in NFL history. And he got a lot of backlash for it. Let me go on record here and say I completely agree with him. That was trash last year. That coaching job was terrible. If we remember week one, Nathaniel Hackett completely botched the situational clock management shit and cost the Broncos a win week one and week two. And then they went out and hired a guy to come in and coach the coach. I mean, come on now. He's absolutely right. Nathaniel Hackett might be a solid offensive coordinator and offensive play caller, but he's not a head coach. He's not a leader of men, and he certainly isn't a situational manager, like at all. I do not want him running, calling timeouts and making decisions about what my team is going to do. Absolutely not. Sean Payton is one of the best head coaches in the game, in the business, and it's a great hire. And if anyone can turn around Russell Wilson's career, it's Sean Payton. And I don't think Russell Wilson, I know he had a bad year last year, and he did. And Russell Wilson was part of the problem last year. He was, absolutely. But in 2021, before he got hurt, Russell Wilson was still pretty damn good. And I do think that with a head coach like Sean Payton, a healthy Javonte Williams, and weapons like Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy and dudes like that, Russell Wilson can absolutely bounce back. And so I do expect the Broncos to bounce back. You know, a healthy Javonte Williams is huge. And then you add Samaje Perine as running back number 2. That same role he played in Cincy behind Joe Mixon. I love that. He's an excellent pass catching back, which is good for Russell Wilson. So is Javonte Williams. Sean Payton's going to fix this team, I think, in a hurry, in my opinion. And this team, they add Frank Clark as a pass rusher. You got Randy Gregory, Pat Surtain, Justin Simmons at safety. This team is good. They trade for kicker Will Lutz. This team is good. And I look for the Broncos to bounce back in a big way. And I think the Broncos finish second in the AFC West. I think they make the playoffs. I think they win between 9 and 11 games. 9 and 8. I could easily see 9 and 8 or 10 and 7. And I think they make the playoffs. And they're going to be competing with the LA Chargers and Justin Herbert. And can they beat the Chargers for that playoff spot, that wild card spot? We all know the Chiefs are going to win the division. As long as Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce are out there, and Andy Reid's calling plays, they're going to be fine. So can the Broncos get to the playoffs? That's a big question, and I think they will. That's my pick. I could be wrong, but if I trust anybody to turn that team around, it's Sean Payton. That's the best coach for the job, in my opinion. So look out for the Broncos to bounce back in a big way in 2023. Let's real quick look at their schedule here, who they play early on in the season. I mean, week 1 against the Raiders, that's a win, in my opinion. Week 2 against the Commanders, that's a win. Big week 3 game, Broncos at Dolphins. And then Sean Payton had those comments about Nathaniel Hackett. That's going to put a lot of fire in that week 5 matchup, Jets at Broncos. There's going to be a lot of fire. I think the Jets are going to be fired up, and Aaron Rodgers wants to defend his offensive coordinator. So the Broncos better be ready to go against that Jets team. But, Jets and Dolphins are the 2 big matchups for Denver in the first 5 weeks, and then at the Chiefs week 6. So, and they play the Chiefs twice in 3 weeks, week 6 and week 8. So Broncos better be ready to go right off the bat. You want to get out to that 2-0 start so that you can survive some tougher games in the middle of the schedule. So let's move on to the Kansas City Chiefs. who not a lot needs to be said about this Chiefs team, but there is some stuff to talk about here of late. One of the big things, so Eric Bieniemy leaves, right? He finally gets an opportunity with the Washington Commanders as the assistant head coach and offensive coordinator. So we'll see how Eric Bieniemy does without Patrick Mahomes and Kelsey and Tyreek Hill, right? I know he didn't have Tyreek Hill last year, still had a lot of success, won the Super Bowl. But let's see how Eric Bieniemy looks with Sam Howell and Terry McLaurin and those weapons with Washington. But, and more importantly for Kansas City, Matt Nagy is promoted to offensive coordinator. And Andy Reid is still calling the offensive plays. And Chiefs fans, you better hope he continues to, because let me tell you, Matt Nagy sucks. And as a Bears fan, I know this very well. Matt Nagy was a trash head coach. And I know some people are going to say, oh, he won Coach of the Year in 2018. And I always respond, no, that was Vic Fangio's award. Let's stop pretending like Matt Nagy did anything. Vic Fangio had the best defense in football. That's why the Bears won all those games. Nagy was creative offensively. By 2019, the entire league caught up to it. And Nagy had no success after 2018 with multiple quarterbacks. He sucked with Trubisky. He sucked with Foles. He sucked with Dalton. He sucked with Justin Fields. So Nagy sucks. Now he might be, and then you're going to say, well, he's a decent offensive coordinator, not a head coach. Well, he called plays in that 2017 playoff game and blew an 18-point second-half lead to Marcus Mariota and the Titans. So just hear me out. Matt Nagy sucks. That's my take there. He's terrible. But Andy Reid's the head coach. He's what makes that offense go, along with Patrick Mahomes and the Mahomes-Kelsey chemistry. And Mahomes is just so effing special that he makes up for a lot of other issues. So the Chiefs are still going to be great. They're still going to win 11 to 13 or 14 games, probably more likely 13 or 14. They're a very talented team. Sky Moore, Kadarius Toney, Valdez Scantling, Rashee Rice, great pick out of SMU in the second round. The weapons are there. Now, some concerns are Chris Jones, right? Defensive tackle, probably the best defensive tackle in the entire NFL, is holding out. He's not going to play in week 1, and he said publicly that he will hold out until up to week 8. So if Chris Jones misses until week 8, the Chiefs are probably still going to be all right. They're still going to be leading the division, but that puts more pressure on the offense. The defense isn't going to be nearly as good without Chris Jones. I mean, the best defensive tackle in football, that's a big loss. And we've seen this team struggle before without Chris Jones. So they need him. And then Travis Kelce hyperextends his knee today in practice. They're waiting on an MRI to see if he'll be able to play week 1, Thursday night against the Lions. If the Chiefs don't have Travis Kelce, that's a big effing loss. And you take Kelce and Chris Jones off the field, I mean, I'm still picking the Chiefs to win that game, but that might be a good game all of a sudden. I was picking the Chiefs by double digits, but you take those two off the field, and the Lions we might have a game on Thursday night. The Chiefs, Travis Kelce is what makes that offense go. And I know you're going to say, well, you guys said the same thing about Tyreek Hill, and look how good they were without Tyreek Hill. That blew my mind, first of all. And it just goes to show how good Travis Kelce is and how good Patrick Mahomes is, most importantly. The fact that the Chiefs didn't really miss a beat after Tyreek Hill left for Miami is mind-blowing to me. Tyreek Hill, one of the best receivers in all of football, and the Chiefs just kept going and won a Super Bowl. I mean, shocking to me. And they're saying it's like Mahomes was kind of trying too hard to feed Tyreek Hill and get him involved, and you take him away, and then Mahomes just kind of like learned how to take what was open, and then that chemistry with Kelce Kelsey just finds a way to get open all the time. So the Chiefs are special in that regard, and they're tough to beat. It's a reason they've won 2 Super Bowls and been to 3, and could have gone to 4 or 5. And we'll see. The AFC is getting more and more competitive, in my opinion. And we'll see if the Bengals or the Jets or the Ravens or maybe the Dolphins or the Jags can pose a threat to this team in the playoffs, or, come for that number 1 spot, that 1 seed, and make the Chiefs play on the road instead of in Arrowhead. You know what I mean? So it's going to be a lot of fun to see if how long the Chiefs can keep this up. And I know Chiefs fans and the national media guys like Nick Wright and Shannon Sharp want to see a Chiefs three-peat. And I don't think that's going to happen. Patrick Mahomes is as special as he is. Kelsey is as special as he is. Andy Reid's as special as he is. I don't see the Chiefs three-peating. If Tom Brady and Bill Belichick couldn't do it, I don't think it's going to be done in a very competitive NFL. You know what I mean? Very what do you call it? I can't think, parity. Tons of parity in the NFL. On a year in, year out basis. So I got the Chiefs winning the AFC West, probably having home field in the playoffs. And then it's a question of, can someone take this team down in the playoffs? We've seen Joe Burrow and the Bengals do it. We've seen Tom Brady and the Patriots do it. That's about it. Besides the Super Bowl, and we saw Tom Brady and the Bucks do it. Can somebody take them down? Can the Jets? Can the Bills? We've seen the Bills come up short, but the Bills were so close that one year, but couldn't make a stop with 13 seconds left, 12 seconds left. Can the Jets do it? Can the Dolphins? If the Dolphins get into the playoffs, Dolphins Chiefs, that'd be a hell of a matchup if Tua is healthy. You know what I mean? Tyreek Hill against his former team. It'd be a lot of fun to watch. Vic Fangio's defense, Jalen Ramsey, Xavier Howard. I'd pay to watch that. But give me Andy Reid over Mike McDonald. Can the Ravens? Can the Bengals? The Bengals kind of had the Chiefs number, and then the Chiefs said, "Yeah, right," and beat them in that playoff game. And so, can the Bengals get back to it? That could be a hell of a rivalry for years to come. Joe Burrow against Patrick Mahomes, Bengals Chiefs. So, we'll see what happens, but it's going to be a fun year. Chiefs are going to be good as ever. They did lose Frank Clark. We'll see if George Karlaftis can step up, second year defensive end, and fill that void. Let's go Las Vegas Raiders, who, much like the Indianapolis Colts, I don't know what the hell the Raiders are doing, and I don't think they're going to be very good. A big stat that I keep going back to, because you can lose. Why are we moving on from Derek Carr? First of all, I like Derek Carr. He's a good quarterback. And you put a defense around him, put some weapons around him, he can win a playoff game and a division championship, in my opinion. We've seen him ball out for the Raiders and be clutch as hell. Jimmy Garoppolo, they bring in. FYI, Jimmy Garoppolo, where's that stat at? Jimmy Garoppolo has only played in 15 or more games in a season twice in his career. Like, the dude can't stay healthy. He can't. And it's not like the Raiders have a good backup. Are you telling me Brian Hoyer or rookie 4th-round pick Aiden O'Connell? I know Aiden O'Connell looked good in preseason, but he's going to come in the regular season and lead this team to wins? I don't think so. Maybe the Raiders are banking on Aiden O'Connell, but, I think Josh McDaniels is the prototypical good offensive coordinator, terrible effing head coach. And we saw it in Denver. If you guys remember when Josh McDaniels took over as the Broncos head coach, and he ran Jay Cutler and Brandon Marshall out of town immediately. And those were the 2 Broncos young stars, and he replaced them with Kyle Orton, and Eddie Royal. Josh McDaniels sucks, in my opinion. The only time he's good is when he's offensive coordinator for Bill Belichick. That's it. Uh, you know, I think Josh McDaniels, he ran Derek Carr out of town, and now he's doing everything in his power to piss off your best offensive player in Josh Jacobs, who went for, by the way, 2,000 combined yards and 12 touchdowns in 17 games last year and was the NFL's rushing leader. Pay Josh Jacobs. You gave him a 1-year deal. That's all the confidence you have in Josh effing Jacobs is a 1-year deal. I'm sorry, but that pisses me off. Josh McDaniels is a stupid ass. Josh Jacobs is your best effing offensive player by far, and you treat him like shit. It's BS. And he deserves a long-term contract, and so does Jonathan Taylor, Saquon Barkley, and Dalvin Cook. And it's BS the way the NFL is treating these stud running backs. But as you can tell, that shit pisses me off. Let's look at the Raiders. I mean, you got Davante Adams, one of the best wide receivers in the game. All right, so that's good. You bring in Jacoby Myers. You know, it's a Patriot guy. I understand why Josh McDaniels would want that. You bring in Hunter Renfro's been there. I'm a big Hunter Renfro fan going back to Clemson. Hell of a receiver. Always open. You draft Michael Mayer in the second round. Good pick. You got Zamir White is a good backup to Josh Jacobs, but he's not fucking Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs is a stud. You got Max Crosby, one of the best pass rushers in the game. You put Chandler Jones opposite him. I like that. You bring in Marcus Peters at corner. But I do not anticipate Jimmy G playing an entire season. I think he gets hurt at some point. I think that most people do expect him to get hurt, and the Raiders don't have a backup. Unless Tom Brady comes out of retirement, the Raiders don't have a backup. And so for that reason, I have them winning between 6 to 8 games and finishing in last place in the AFC West. I don't agree with Josh McDaniels' philosophy and what he is doing there in Vegas, and I think the Raiders finish in last place in that division. I could be wrong. If I am, you guys can give me shit, but that's my opinion. And it starts with you got to have a quarterback in this league. And if Jimmy G he failed his physical, right? He had to have foot surgery, had to have his contract reworked. You know, dude can't stay healthy. He's a good quarterback, but dude can't stay healthy. So if he can't stay healthy, it's a quarterback-driven league. You got no backups. Aiden O'Connell's all right, but is he going to win you? Is he going to take you to the playoffs? No, not as a rookie. So count me out on the Las Vegas Raiders in 2023. And I wish them nothing but failure after the way they've treated Josh Jacobs. Let's go to the LA Chargers, who are talented as hell. I mean, not only do you have Justin Herbert, one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, he just got his big deal. You know, now he's set with that generational money. Good to see him get paid. You bring back Austin Eckler, who has led the NFL in combined touchdowns the last 2 seasons. I don't know how many people knew that, but Austin Eckler led the NFL in touchdowns for 2 straight seasons, 20 and 18. He plays a huge role on this team, not just as a runner, but as a safety blanket pass catcher for Justin Herbert. When the receivers aren't open and the protection breaks down, boom, there's Austin Eckler as your safety blanket. You can just dump the ball off. Eckler can go run for 10, 15 yards, 20 yards, 30, 40, take it to the house, right? Austin Eckler, great. Good to see them bring him back. Austin Eckler, like those other running backs, deserves a long-term deal and big-time money. His stats back it up. 20 touchdowns, 18 touchdowns, right? At least they brought him back. You've got Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, Josh Palmer, 3 stud receivers, right? And then you go and draft Quentin Johnston in the first round out of TCU. For those that watched the college football playoff, watched TCU last year, Quentin Johnston is a monster, drawing comparisons to Andre Johnson and shit. So look out, man. The weapons in LA are there. Gerald Everett is a hell of a tight end. This team's got weapons. You go to the defensive side of the ball, you got Khalil Mack, you got Eric Kendricks from Minnesota, you got Kenneth Murray at linebacker, you got Joey Bosa, you got J.C. Jackson, Derwin James, Asante Samuel, who balled out in that playoff game. The Chargers are absolutely loaded with talent. The one thing holding them back, and I've confirmed this with NFL media and former players, get this team a head coach. Brandon Staley is, in my opinion, holding this team back. And it's time they move on. They should have fired him 2 years ago. They definitely should have fired him after blowing a 27-point lead in the playoffs to Jacksonville. But they keep bringing him back. If you can go get a guy like Sean McVay or Lincoln Riley, go do that. You know what I mean? Give Justin Herbert and this team a head coach. They fired Joe Lombardi. People are making a big deal out of this, firing Joe Lombardi, replacing him with Kellen Moore. I mean, I don't see a difference here. Joe Lombardi sucks. Kellen Moore's not any good either. Ask Cowboy fans about Kellen Moore. He's not any good, I don't think. So, it's not an improvement in my opinion. And if Brandon Staley is still going to be making your situational decision making and you know, he's still the head coach, he's still making those decisions to be aggressive, go for it in certain situations, not take the field goal in some situations, challenge this and certain shit like that, then you're going to lose games. Brandon Staley has hurt this team repeatedly ever since he's been hired, last 2 or 3 years, and the Chargers need a real head coach. But they got the talent, so I got them winning between 8 to 10 wins. I mean, 8 wins would be a failure. I think we all agree. But 10 wins, 10-7, make the playoffs. I think Charger fans would be all right with that. You're not winning the AFC West. Get to the playoffs. And, the Broncos are going to be good, I think. I think it's going to be a battle between the Chargers and Broncos, and we'll see who comes out the winner there, And I don't need to keep saying it. Brandon Staley is an issue, in my opinion. But the Chargers are absolutely loaded with talent. And if you give them I would have liked Sean Payton to go to the Chargers if they had fired Brandon Staley. You give them a real head coach, look out. Now let's go to the NFC. I'm going to try to get through this a little bit quicker because my voice is going and, I don't want this episode to be too long. But let's go Dallas Cowboys. They fired OC Kellen Moore. I wonder why. And, this is going to be, they lose Zeke Elliott, right? They let him go. So now a lot more expectations on Tony Pollard, who they franchise tagged, combined for a career-high 1,300 yards and 12 touchdowns. So a good statistical season. I think he's better with a guy like Zeke Elliott there with him. Instead, now you got Rico Dowdle or Deuce Vaughn, which Deuce Vaughn is good, but he's not Zeke, in my opinion. So we'll see how Tony Pollard does as the feature back. Dak Prescott, can he stay healthy? Can he perform at a high level consistently? That's what Cowboy fans want to see. You got weapons. You got CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, Brandon Cooks, Jalen Tolbert, Kevontae Turpin, kind of Jake Ferguson at tight end. You draft Luke Schoonmaker. Good weapons, right? You got DeMarcus Lawrence on the D end. You drafted Mozzie Smith, which is a good pick. Leighton Vander Esch, Micah Parsons, who is a lot of people's preseason pick for Defensive Player of the Year this year. You add Stephon Gilmore. to be opposite Trayvon Diggs. Cowboys are loaded with talent. And a lot of people really like their defense. I think I'm not as sold on this team as others. I truly believe this is the third best team in the NFC East. I think the Giants have passed this team. I think the Giants are one win better than the Cowboys. I really do. I love what Brian Dable is building over there. Mike McCarthy is taking over as play calling. And if he doesn't have a really successful season, if he doesn't at least get this team to the playoffs, and in my opinion, a playoff win, which they should, they've had expectations to win a playoff game the last 2 years, couldn't get it done. If Mike McCarthy can't do that, I think he's gone. I think he's fired. And then we'll see who, do they bring in Lincoln Riley or someone like that going forward for the Cowboys? I think they win between 8 and 10 games, battle for second place in the division with the New York Giants. The Eagles are the clear favorite, in my opinion, to win that division. And I think the Giants finish second ahead of the Cowboys. I could be wrong. If Cowboy fans want to come after me for that take, that's fine. We'll see at the end of the year. But I think it's going to be a battle between the Cowboys and the Giants, and we get to see that right off the bat, week 1, as the Cowboys play at the Giants on Sunday Night Football. So that's going to be a great game. I'm picking the Giants to win that game. We'll see if the Cowboys can shut my ass up right off the bat, week 1. And if they do win that one in New York, then, maybe just like that, I'm picking the Cowboys to make the playoffs and not the Giants. But I love what the Giants are building. Not as much with the Cowboys. I mean, the Giants add Darren Waller and Jalen Hyatt and these guys. Cowboys can do more, in my opinion, And I would have kept Dalton Schultz and stuff like that, but I would have kept Zeke Elliott. But the Cowboys are going to be good. I think they're capable of 9 to 10 wins. Question is that enough to make the playoffs? And we'll see. Let's go to the New York Giants. Same exact coaching staff. Brian Dable off to a hot start. I mean, he comes in as head coach, gets the Giants back to the playoffs for the first time since, 2016, and wins a playoff game over the favorite Vikings in Minnesota. Plus, Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley go for career highs. Saquon Barkley had the best year he's had since his rookie year, and Daniel Jones had the best year of his career. So how can you not love what Brian Dable has done there so far in his rookie year? I mean, right off the bat, a lot of success. Then you add a weapon like Darren Waller. I mean, and we saw it in the preseason game how often Daniel Jones was going to Darren Waller. Look out for this combination this year. Darren Waller might be in for a hell of a year. You add Paris Campbell from the Colts. You draft Jalen Hyatt in the 3rd round to go with Darius Slayton and Wan'Dale Robinson. I like what the Giants are building. And Brian Dable is getting things done over there. You draft John Michael Schmitz in the 2nd round. So now you're going to develop some chemistry between a good center and a quarterback there. Daniel Jones looks more comfortable than he's ever looked, using his legs and his arm, making good decisions with the football, cutting down his turnovers. Then you go to the defensive side of the ball where they got Azeez Ojulari and Kayvon Thibodeau rushing the passer, right? You got big Dexter Lawrence in there. You got Bobby Okereke from Indy, which I like that ad. Then you draft Deonte Banks, starting corner, Xavier McKinney, Adoree Jackson. Giants have a lot of talent. I like what the Giants are doing, and to me, that it makes more football sense and more. It looks better to me like a team that's built to win football games than the Cowboys do. I'm sorry to say it, and Giants fans will love to hear that. So, and then you trade for Isaiah Simmons, which, he had his struggles in Arizona, but if he can be valuable in any regard, whether it's rushing the passer or what have you, it's found money, right? You didn't have to give up much to get him. So, Cardinals are rebuilding, so that's another topic. But the Giants are built to win. So I got the Giants winning between 9 and 11 games, battling for the Cowboys for second place. I got the Giants going back to the playoffs. Unless they regress in a big way, which I don't see that happening, I got the Giants back in the playoffs. And can they win another playoff game? It's likely going to have to be on the road again because they're likely not winning the division. If they win that division over Philly, look out. But I don't. That's hard to say. Philly has looked so good. The Phillies built to be contenders. I don't know if the Giants are contenders yet. They're building something. The Eagles are already built, in my opinion, and continuing to get better with the Georgia Dogs defense over there. But anyways, the Giants, I think they make the playoffs. They might be able to steal a playoff win. I think that's their ceiling, right? Divisional round. But they're an excellent team, and we'll see right off the bat. Like I said, week 1, Sunday Night Football, Cowboys at Giants. That should be a fun ass game. And can the Giants take care of business, get out to a 1-0 start? They should be 2-0 going to San Francisco in week 3. Giants at Niners. That's going to be a hell of a game. That brings back some old school memories there. Uh, with Joe Montana against Lawrence Taylor, right? Niners Giants. So that should be a fun game, and both teams are very good in San Francisco. So that'll be a fun early season matchup. Can't wait to see the Giants this year. I got good expectations for them. Let's go Philadelphia Eagles, who lost both coordinators. Shane Steichen goes to the Colts as head coach. Jonathan Gannon goes to the Cardinals, which Jonathan Gannon is a terrible head coach already. But anyways, so let's look at the Eagles, right? Let's look at the Eagles. The Eagles are absolutely loaded. I mean, what can you say? Jalen Hurts. Now, is Miles Sanders a big loss? I don't think it's that big of it's a loss, but you got running back by committee, right? You got DeAndre Swift, Kenneth Gainwell, Rashad Penny, Boston Scott. Jalen Hurts is your running back, is he not? They should be all right. And you got weapons, man. You got A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert. That's why they went to the Super Bowl last year, along with Jalen Hurts balling out. So that's not changing. You add in Zacchaeus Olamide from Atlanta, Quez Watkins still there. The defensive side of the ball, the rich get richer. You still got Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox. You drafted Jordan Davis. Now you got Jalen Carter on that D line. Oh my God! You got Josh Sweat. Nakobe Dean, Hassan Reddick, Nolan Smith on the edge. Who John Abraham, the former Falcons All-Pro, 150 plus sacks. John Abraham loves Nolan Smith. Compared him to Von Miller. Said he should be a top 10 pick, and he falls, and the Eagles get him. You got Darius Slay, one of the best corners, James Bradbury, Kaylee Ringo, Sidney Brown. This Eagles team is loaded, man. There's no reason to think the Eagles should take a step back at all. So I got the Eagles winning 11 to 13 wins, more likely 13, maybe 14. And they're contenders. They're true contenders in the NFC. Eagles and Niners, really. And it wouldn't surprise anyone at all if we got a rematch in the NFC Championship game of Eagles-Niners again. And all we want is two healthy teams so that we don't say, oh, well, one team didn't have their quarterback. And it sucks that Brock Purdy got hurt in that game. I would have liked to see what would happen if Brock Purdy was healthy. And so now we hope for two healthy teams meet in the NFC Championship game. And the Eagles on paper should be there again. And they're absolutely contenders to go back to the Super Bowl. And we'll see how they do if they can get that championship. And Nick Foles, they built him a statue. Jalen Hurts, they might have to build him one soon. Let's go Washington Commanders. They fire OC Scott Turner, hire Eric Bieniemy from the Kansas City Chiefs. Interesting team, these Commanders. Sam Howell is going to take over as the starting quarterback. Eric Bieniemy had so much success in Kansas City under Andy Reid with Patrick Mahomes and those weapons. Can he, if Eric Bieniemy can have success with Sam Howell and this team, then Eric Bieniemy is going to be a head coach very effing soon. And he should have been already, to be honest. But this is an opportunity now for him to prove himself outside of the Andy Reid shadow. There's no shadow here in Washington. Ron Rivera has no idea what he's doing with quarterbacks. He's proven that since going back to Carolina with Cam Newton, in my opinion. He has bobbled every quarterback situation under his regime in Washington. So Eric Bieniemy comes in to straighten out the quarterback situation in the offense. If he can do that, get this Commanders team to the playoffs or competing for the playoffs, then he's going to get a head coach job very soon, and it might be with the Commanders maybe next year. He might move on from Ron Rivera if Bieniemy proves himself, you know? You got weapons, Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, Samuel Curtis. Curtis Samuel, my bad. I read that one backwards. Curtis Samuel. De'Ami Brown, who I like a lot. Byron Pringle. He was in Chicago. He didn't do much. De'Ami Brown's a baller. Logan Thomas at tight end, John Bates, Cole Turner. Those are decent. Those are guys, you know. Brian Robinson at running back. Even Antonio Gibson's a good backup. You look at the defense, Montez Sweat, Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen, Chase Young. That D-line's nasty. Kendall Fuller, Emmanuel Forbes Jr., excellent draft pick. You know, the big story with Washington is Chase Young. He's still not medically cleared to play, and only played in 3 games last season, and hasn't played in 10 or more games in a season since his rookie year of 2020. So Chase Young is a monster when healthy. We all know that. We expected him to be an absolute dog in the NFL, and he just hasn't been able to stay healthy. And so there's some very much concerns here, growing concerns about Chase Young, who again is still not medically cleared to play and not expected to play in Week 1. Now the Commanders are playing with the Cardinals in Week 1, so you don't need Chase Young for that one. That should be a dub. But you need him to win games. And as of right now, considering the Chase Young, and I got my questions on Sam Howell. I know he looked good in the preseason. I don't trust Sam Howell. Still needs to show it to me in the regular season. And I got this team winning 5 to 7 games in a competitive division. They're likely the 4th most talented team in the division, right? The Cowboys are talented. The Giants are talented. We all know the Eagles are effing talented. The Commanders are the least talented team in the division, in my opinion. So I got them finishing in last place with questions about Sam Howell and especially Chase Young. So they could go 7-10, but I think that's their ceiling. I don't have this team making the playoffs, and maybe that gets Ron Rivera fired and Eric Bieniemy promoted to head coach. We shall see. And Sam Howell, prove me wrong. Shut me the hell up. Have a great year. If you do that, win some games, then I will come around and start singing your praises. But I got to see it first to believe it. Let's go Chicago Bears. My Chicago Bears, who had the worst record in the NFL last year at 3-14, which earned them the number 1 overall pick, which they traded to the Carolina Panthers for star wide receiver DJ Moore, which the Bears desperately needed. Last year, the Bears receiving corps was terrible. They made a midseason trade for Chase Claypool, who gave them absolutely nothing. I mean, they traded for Chase Claypool, and he recorded 14 catches in 7 games. So, not a difference maker. But, you know, and you had Darnell Mooney at wide receiver 1. Mooney is an excellent receiver, but he's a wide receiver 2. That's his best fit. You make a trade for a star in DJ Moore, and that moves everyone back into their rightful spots. You got DJ Moore 1, Darnell Mooney 2, Chase Claypool 3, a lot less pressure on Chase Claypool. So if he can produce, then great. You know what I mean? And then 4th-round pick rookie Tyler Scott, which I love this pick. You know, out of Cincy. If Chase Claypool doesn't produce, Tyler Scott should be able to move into that wide receiver 3. And if Claypool produces, Tyler Scott is an excellent wide receiver 4. So good pick there. I like the value of that pick. You add Robert Tonyan to go with Cole Kmet. Now you got a 2 tight end attack for Justin Fields. I love that. I didn't like getting rid of David Montgomery. He was one of my favorite Bears. I don't really see the value in adding D'Onta Foreman. He's okay, but he's not David Montgomery. Khalil Herbert is a good running back too. I don't know if he's a running back number 1. We'll see. Former 6th-round pick. We'll see if he can step up. I do like 4th-round pick out of Texas, Roschon Johnson. He backed up Bijan Robinson at Texas. He's got potential to be a stud in the NFL, so we'll see if he can become that and produce. And then, of course, 1st-round pick Darnell Wright at tackle. But the Bears are dealing with some offensive line issues. Tevin Jenkins is hurt. And now is not the time with the Packers coming into town in week 1. And I tell you what, Bears fans are optimistic. They're excited about the season starting. If the Bears lose at home in week 1 to Jordan Love and the Packers, Bears fans are going to lose their shit. Talk about an overreaction. It will be, but the Bears fans are going to overreact, and they're going to be pissed. Because Brett Favre kicked our ass for over a decade. Aaron Rodgers kicked our ass for over a decade. We're tired of the fucking Hall of Fame quarterbacks in Green Bay that continue to kick our ass. Now that Aaron Rodgers is gone, now of all goddamn times is the time to beat the Packers into oblivion. And so we better perform, show up, and kick the shit out of Green Bay. I don't care if it's a close game. Just get the mother effing dub. Just get the win. And send Green Bay home sad for the first time in a long ass time. I'm tired of losing to Green Bay. I'm tired of losing to Aaron Rodgers. He's gone now. We cannot allow Jordan Love to come in and beat us in our effing house. So the Bears better show up week 1 and take care of business against Green Bay. Defensively, some questions there. They do make a trade for Yannick Ngakoue. He's an excellent pass rusher. He's not a very good run stopper. So is he situational? Are we going to be able to keep him on the field all 3 downs? I don't know. You know what I mean? DeMarcus Walker, unproven as a starter. Dominique Robinson, unproven. 5th-round pick, going into a second year. Rasheem Green has done absolutely nothing in this league. We need to see production out of our 2 rookie defensive tackles, Zach Pickens and Gervon Dexter. Hopefully they step up and become dogs, because I don't have a lot of faith in Andrew Billings and Justin Jones. I know Billings is a good run stopper, but I'd rather be playing these young studs over those guys. You know what I mean? I'm still mad about the Roquan Smith trade, and we replace him with Tremaine Edmonds, who frankly looked pretty bad on tape in the preseason. I know Tremaine Edmonds is a good player. I saw him play since VTech and since Virginia and at Buffalo. But he's not Roquan Smith, and if someone is telling you that he is, they're wrong. Yeah, Tremaine Edmonds at VTech. I remember that shit. So Roquan is a much better linebacker than any of these guys on the team currently. That's just facts. Hate me if you want, that's just facts. But Tremaine Edmonds is good. TJ Edwards is good. Noah Sewell is a good value pick out of Oregon in the 5th round. Jack Sanborn has some potential. But we did not get better at the linebacker position by getting rid of Roquan Smith. So we'll see. It's a work in progress, this defense. Now, I do like our secondary. I've always been a big fan of Jalen Johnson. I love Jaquan Brisker. I love Eddie Jackson. And I love the pick of Tyreek Stevenson out of Miami. Kyler Gordon's okay. He's going to be focusing on nickel. That might be better fitted for his skill set. I never would have drafted Kyler Gordon personally, but he's here. He's a Bear. I'm going to support him. We draft Terrell Smith, good value pick, 5th round out of Minnesota. Cairo Santos has been automatic. since bringing him into Chicago. But my question is, does this roster result in wins? Does Matt Eberflus and Luke Getsy get us some wins? This is Matt Eberflus' defense. You can blame Alan Williams if you want, but it's Matt Eberflus' defense. And Luke Getsy needs to perform on offense. In a wide-ass open division, the Vikings took a step back. The Packers took a step back. The Lions are talented. In a wide-ass open division, I got the Bears winning between 7 and 9 wins. They'll be much improved from last year. But are they good enough to win the division or make the playoffs? I don't think so. Maybe because the division is so wide open. Maybe. I think the division is bad. I think 9 wins gets you the division championship in the NFC North this year. But are the Bears good enough to do it? Maybe, but I doubt it. I'm rooting for the Bears. I'm going to be wearing my Justin Fields jersey week 1, rooting like hell that we kick the Packers' ass. But when we play at the Chiefs, when we play versus the Broncos, when we play at the Chargers, at the Saints, at the Browns, those are going to be some tough games, and we're going to have to prove that we can win them. And this team is a work in progress, in my opinion. And our biggest thing that we want to see, Bears fans, the playoffs is secondary, in my opinion. Just improve on the 3 wins of last year. If we go 7 and 10, that's improvement. And Justin Fields needs to show us and the country and the world and the national media that he can win and get the job done and make the throws necessary to win. And if he can do that, he's got weapons now. He's got DJ Moore, Darnell Mooney, Chase Claypool, Tyler Scott, Cole Kmet, Robert Tonyan. He's got weapons, right? The offensive line is better. It's not great, but it's better. Prove it this year, Justin Fields. We know you can run the ball. We know you can run for 1,000 yards and make these crazy plays. But show us with your arm at the same time that you can get it done. If he does that, Bears fans will be ecstatic. But, that's the big question that we're still trying to figure out. And it's not Justin Fields' fault. The Bears have put Justin Fields in terrible situations to develop every year of his career. This is the best year, and it's still not the best situation. It's good. It's not great. But it's better. And I'm sorry, but now this is the situation you're in. Go out there and get it done. Go out there and prove it. Go out there, show that you're getting better and better and better. Take that third-year leap, right, that Jalen Hurts took last year. This Bears team isn't ready to go to the Super Bowl or contend in the NFC, but show improvement from the quarterback position and do better than last year. I think Bears fans will be happy. And most importantly, beat the goddamn Packers, please. Let's go Detroit Lions. The Lions are getting a ton of hype. And is it deservedly so? I mean, head coach Dan Campbell is building this thing the right way. I like the coaching staff that he's put together. A lot of former players on that coaching staff, including defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn. He's building this thing to the trenches on both sides of the ball, offensive line and defensive line. They're building it the right way, old school mentality. Jamal Williams came in last year and led the league in rushing touchdowns. And that goes to show you what they're doing on the O-line, right? So you add 2 running backs. You add David Montgomery from the Bears, and you trade up for rookie running back Jahmyr Gibbs out of Bama. And this is an excellent running back room. It's but my question is, why not just bring back Jamal Williams and DeAndre Swift from last year? If you want to say DeAndre Swift is injury prone, okay, you can sell me on that. But the Eagles are pretty happy with DeAndre Swift over there as their Miles Sanders replacement, as one of the guys in their group. If you really like Jahmyr Gibbs, okay, then go get him. But in my opinion, and I know I've received pushback on this, but Jahmyr Gibbs was taken too high. That was a reach. And David Montgomery is going to come in and I believe have a career year. You know, people don't talk about it, but David Montgomery has combined for over 1,000 yards every year of his career. He's one of the better pass catching running backs in the NFL. And in my opinion, he is an upgrade over Jamal Williams. And that might be a Bears fan talking that really likes him, but I think behind that offensive line, which David Montgomery has never had that good of an offensive line in Chicago, I think he's going to have a career year. I think he's going to go for over 1,000 yards again. And I think he's going to probably have over 10 touchdowns and ball out. And if that's the case, why do you need to trade up for Jahmyr Gibbs? And why do you need to take him that high? I love Gibbs, the talent, but the only running back in the draft worthy of being taken that high was Bijan Robinson. And you can get excellent value from the running back position. I mean, take Jahmyr Gibbs off of here and replace him with Devon Achane or Roschon Johnson. Aren't you happy? Isn't that good? Then you got David Montgomery and Devon Achane, or David Montgomery and Roschon Johnson. Isn't that pretty damn talented, pretty damn good? So I don't know that you needed to take Jahmyr Gibbs that high, but the Lions see something in him. They love him, and maybe he's the future number one running back down the road that you're gonna team up the new quarterback that you draft here soon, and then you're gonna have him and Gibbs. And maybe that's maybe that's the vision that Dan Campbell and Chris Spielman have, and Brad Holmes have for this team, right? Maybe that's what it is. But Jared Goff is the thing that concerns me in Detroit. He had a great year last year, right? He overachieved by far. And not a lot of people saw that coming. And I don't think he's never really put it together 2 years in a row, and I don't think he does it this year. I think he regresses. I think he struggles. Now, he's got weapons around him, right? He's got Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's got Marvin Jones back, Josh Reynolds, Khalif Raymond, Sam Laporta, who they drafted in the second round. Now, my question about Sam Laporta is this. Why not just keep TJ Hockenson if you're going to draft Sam Laporta, right? You created a need and then had to fill it. I don't understand moves like that. Why not take Michael Mayer ahead of Sam Laporta? There's a question, They like Sam Laporta, I guess. So we have to trust the Lions front office that they made these moves for a reason, right? That they like what they're doing. They're building something. So we can't criticize it like crazy. I mean, because what about Jack Campbell in the first round? Look on everyone's draft board. Anyone that I looked at, Jack Campbell was nowhere near the first round on the draft board of a lot of people. So I don't know. That seemed like another reach. But the Lions seem to like him. So we have to trust it. Now, excellent value in the second round. I had a first-round grade on safety Brian Branch out of Bama. And that's an excellent pick. Hard hitter, and he secondary, whatever position you put him at, Brian Branch is going to be a nasty future starter. And he can kind of learn behind C.J. Gardner-Johnson. It's perfect. And you got Kirby Joseph. I like what the Lions are doing back there. Excellent pick in Brian Branch. As much as I want to criticize these three picks, I have to give them credit for the Brian Branch pick. And I like Antoine Green in the 7th round out of North Carolina as well. But all that being said, Aiden Hutchinson, excellent pick last year. Do the Lions make the playoffs? I have them winning between 7 and 9 wins. All right? Very similar to the Bears. Good, not great. Okay? The Lions were building something at the end of the year last year and went on that run and finished the year very strong. But the Lions opened the season at the Chiefs on this Thursday night. Do I think they win? No. Even with Travis Kelce might not play and Chris Jones definitely won't play, I still don't have the Lions beating the Chiefs week 1, even if those two guys don't play. Then the Lions play the Seahawks in week 2. Do I have the Lions winning that? No, I do not. I have the Seahawks coming into Detroit, and the Lions starting the season 0-2, and Lions fans are immediately going to be pissed off at me. 0-2. We're not starting 0-2. We're starting 5-1, 6-1. I don't see it. I think they start 0-2 and probably 1-3 because they're gonna go to Lambeau, and I think the Packers win that as well. So if the Lions start 1-3, are they gonna panic? You know what I mean? Are they gonna be like, oh shit, where are we going? Is this season gonna get out of control here quickly? Do they prove me wrong and start the year 2-2 or 3-1? I don't think they do, but we'll see. So I don't think the Lions make the playoffs this year. I don't think they win a division. I think they more likely finish 7-10 or 8-9. And the big thing holding them back is the quarterback position. I think the Lions need to upgrade the quarterback position ASAP. I think they could have drafted Justin Fields 3 years ago. I think they could have drafted Malik Willis 2 years 2 years ago. They didn't do either. They're content with Jared Goff. I think Goff is who he is, man. He's not that good. And Lions fans are kind of like buying this crap like he might be a franchise quarterback. He's not. And Amon-Ra St. Brown is a hell of a receiver. Even with that, he's not a franchise quarterback. And so the Lions, I think, miss the playoffs this year. I think they go 7-10 or 8-9. Lions fans, if you get mad at me, let me know, and we'll talk all season long, follow along. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right. But that's my thoughts at this moment. Let's go Green Bay Packers. No way in hell are the Packers going to make the playoffs this year or win the division. No way in hell. You lost Aaron Rodgers. The Aaron Rodgers covered up for so much stink in that organization forever. This team isn't very talented without Aaron Rodgers. It just isn't. I'm sorry. And Jordan Love, I don't think is that talented of a quarterback. And I think you're going to be drafting a quarterback very soon, and it's not Sean Clifford. I mean, my God. Sean Clifford should have gone undrafted. He's not very good. He looked good in the preseason against third and fourth stringers. He's not a good quarterback. He's not an NFL starter under any means. And I don't even think he's a good backup. I saw him at Penn State. I know who he is. And Jordan Love's not that good either. And this team is very young, man. If Jordan Love had talent, had weapons all around him, maybe I would talk differently, right? But this team is so young. Christian Watson is in his second year. Romeo Doubs, second year. Jaden Reed is a rookie. Samori Toure, second year. Dontavian Wicks, rookie, fifth-round pick. Rookie Luke Musgrave. Rookie Tucker Kraft. That team is young as hell. The only way the Packers are going to be in any of these games is if they feed the running game. Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. If you ask Jordan Love to sling it around and win you football games, he's going to turn the ball over and you're going to lose. 100%. I say that with the utmost confidence. And so feed the running game is your only shot and hope that this defense can carry the load. And I got my questions about this defense. They got some talent on the defense, but are they a top 10 unit? I don't think so. Are they top 15? Maybe. Are they top half the league? Maybe. But I don't think they're top 10. And with this roster, I think you need a top 10 defense to make the playoffs. It is a wide open division, but it's a quarterback-driven league, and I don't think Jordan Love has got it. And with the young talent around him, I don't think it works out. I think the Packers win between 5 to 7 games. I think their ceiling is 7-10, maybe 8-9. But I do not see this Packers team having a winning record this year. And I think they finish last place in the NFC North. Packer fans are going to hate me for that. But I'm a Bears fan, so you can understand why. But I'm trying to be realistic. Jordan Love's not it, and you got a very young team. And we'll see how Matt LaFleur looks without Aaron Rodgers, right? He's had the luxury of Aaron Rodgers, and the team has had the luxury of Aaron Rodgers covering up a lot of bad picks and lack of experience and lack of talent. there's been moments in the last couple of years where the defense has completely wet the bed, and Aaron Rodgers kept them in these games. And he's no longer there. You're not going to have a superstar quarterback to bring you back. And so I just think they're going to struggle. I really do. Let's go to the Minnesota Vikings, who won 13 games last year and ran away with the NFC North. But they lose Dalvin Cook, which they should have paid him and kept him, but for whatever reason, they didn't. I do like that they bring in Brian Flores as defensive coordinator. That's an upgrade in the staff and the coaching room, but they also lost Zadarius Smith, Dalvin Tomlinson, Patrick Peterson, Eric Kendricks, on top of Dalvin Cook. That's a lot to overcome. So they're a 13-win last year, 13-win team last year. I think that's at least 4 wins off with that amount of talent lost. I do like Brian Flores. He can take a defense that isn't that great and get the most out of it, keep it competitive. You do have TJ Hockenson, Justin Jefferson, rookie Jordan Addison, KJ Osborne, and we'll see if Alexander Mattison can step up. Much like Tony Pollard, how does he handle being the number one option, right? And I think Pollard's a better running back than Mattison. But Madison's got some talent, but I don't know if he's statistically going to be as successful as Tony Pollard was. Pollard had Zeke. Madison has Ty Chandler, but Ty Chandler doesn't scare anybody. So, and a lot of losses on the defensive side of the ball for Minnesota. So, I've got this team winning 7 to 9 wins. They can be bad. They can go 7-10. They can be too pass happy. Kirk Cousins starts turning the ball over. We've seen bad Kirk Cousins, and bad Kirk Cousins will lose you games. This team seems to be a little too much pass happy and too analytics driven with this new GM, and I don't like it. This team was at its best, and Kirk Cousins is at his best when he's got a workhorse running back behind him like Dalvin Cook, and Madison is number 2, and they can stay balanced, right? Without that balance, I think they lead to more turnovers, more punts, and more pressure on the defense, shorter fields, etc. And I think the Vikings' ceiling is 10 wins and probably more likely 9 wins. And I think that's enough to win the NFC North, a bad division in my opinion. And so I think the Vikings can repeat as division champions, but they're not nearly as good as they were last year. And if you remember, they lost in the playoffs at home in round 1 last year. So the Vikings don't scare me. Let's go to the NFC South and the Atlanta Falcons, where the big question is at quarterback, Desmond Ridder, who has not been named a team captain. That's a big, wow, right there. They got weapons. I'll come out and say that right now. You got Drake London. You got Kyle Pitts, and you draft Bijan Robinson in the first round, top 10 pick. The weapons are there, right? But I gotta see it from Desmond Ridder before I can say he's a franchise quarterback. I have my questions about Desmond Ridder, and him not being named a team captain is another indication that he's not ready. Desmond Ridder and Sam Howell are in similar brackets for me, and to be honest, Sam Howell looks a little bit better, and I'm not sold on Sam Howell. So I got to see a lot more out of Desmond Ridder. We'll see if he can get it done. The Falcons did add some weapons to the defense. They bring in veteran locker room leader Calais Campbell. They bring to go with Grady Jarrett. They bring in David Onyemata from the Saints. They bring in Bud Dupree. They bring in Jeff Okudah, which they bring in Jesse Bates, which is one of the better defenders on the Bengals defense that went to the Super Bowl and AFC Championship game 2 years in a row. So the Falcons have talent, and can Arthur Smith get this team into the playoffs? And to me, it's a quarterback-driven league. And if Desmond Ridder can't get the ball to Drake London and Kyle Pitts and Bijan Robinson consistently, they're going to struggle. So I have them winning 6 to 8 games. I think their ceiling is 8 and 9, and maybe 9 and 8. But I don't think they win the division. I don't think they make the playoffs. Sorry, Atlanta. The Carolina Panthers draft Bryce Young. They bring in a veteran backup in Andy Dalton. Frank Reich at the helm. For Bryce Young, I think there's going to be similar to C.J. Stroud and Anthony Richardson. There's going to be bumps in the road as a rookie on a kind of bad team. You know what I mean? Um, they bring in Miles Sanders, good running back, not great but good. You got DJ Chark. You draft Jonathan Mingo, which Jonathan Mingo in that same conversation as DK Metcalf, AJ Brown, George Pickens. Jonathan Mingo's got future star written all over him. Keep an eye on Jonathan Mingo. So that's an excellent pick, great value pick in the second round. Adam Thielen, veteran, quarterback friendly. I love that addition for Bryce Young. But can the offensive line protect him? And the Panthers' best defensive player, Brian Burns, is sitting out. Likely not expected to play in week 1. And coming off a career high 12 and a half sacks, he wants a new contract. The Panthers and him have not been able to come to an agreement. That's going to hurt their chances of winning ball games. I think the Panthers struggle. They win 5 to 7 games. I think their ceiling is 7 and 10. With a rookie quarterback, I think it's more likely 5 and 12, 6 and 11. And the Panthers are building something. I like what they're building, but they're not there yet. And when Brian Burns is pissed off, and might be headed out the door, there's still some moves that need to be made. You just lost DJ Moore, but something to build on is the Bryce Young Jonathan Mingo connection going towards the future. Let's go to the New Orleans Saints, who I think win the division. They bring in Derek Carr on a 4-year, $150 million deal. Derek Carr doesn't have a good regular season record as a starter, 63 and 79, but anyone that's watched the Raiders and Derek Carr knows that he's got talent, knows that he can lead a team to the playoffs. He's done it before twice. He got hurt the 1 year at the end, but he's got talent. And they bring in Jamal Williams, who just led the league in rushing touchdowns. You add him to Alvin Kamara. It sucks Kamara is going to be suspended the first 3 weeks, but, that's not the end of the world. The Saints can tread water until then. Jamal Williams can fill in just fine. You draft rookie Kendre Miller out of TCU. Good value pick. Good running back number 3. Excellent running back number 3, and he can come along. Questions at the you look at the weapons. Chris Olave and Derek Carr should have a lot of success together. They got Michael Thomas coming back, but until we see something from Michael Thomas, you can't really say much there. He hasn't done much since 2019. Can't stay healthy. Can't, whatever. Can't stay on the field. Rashid Shaheed, a bright spot. Keith Kirkwood, Traquan Smith, Jawan Johnson, a good tight end. Cameron Jordan leading the defense. Demario Davis, an excellent linebacker. Tyrann Mathieu, Marshawn Lattimore. Those are the stars. Look out for Pete Werner and Alontae Taylor. Excellent, up-and-coming weapons. So for the Saints, I think they have enough to win the division. I think they can win anywhere between 8 to 10 wins. And in a very weak, wide-open division, I think 9 or 10 wins easily wins it. 8 wins might be enough in this division, but I think 9 or 10 will get the Saints in, and it wouldn't surprise me if they go 9 and 8 or 10 and 7. And so look out for the Saints this year. They should be a good team, and I got them winning the division and having a home playoff game, and that'd be an excellent bounce back for Derek Carr after the way things ended in Vegas. And that'll be a middle finger to Josh McDaniels. For the Bucks, a lot of questions about Tampa Bay. The Bucks are going with Baker Mayfield at quarterback, a chance for Baker Mayfield to turn things around and rewrite the script. Things didn't end in Cleveland the way he wanted it to, and things didn't work out in Carolina the way they wanted it to. He had some moments with the Rams, and now he gets his chance with Tampa Bay after beating out Kyle Trask and winning the starting quarterback spot. I'm looking forward to seeing what Baker Mayfield can do here in Tampa. He's got Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. Excellent draft pick, 6th-round wide receiver Trey Palmer out of Nebraska. I love this guy. And he's been a stud in preseason. And so the Bucks have some weapons. Cade Otton at tight end, not bad. Rachaad White at running back, I like him. So the Bucks, if Baker Mayfield can do all right, protect the football, make some plays, they got a chance to be successful. They got a good defense. They drafted Kalia Cansey in the first round. You got Vita Vea. You got Joe Tryon. You got Devin White. You got Levante David. You got Shaq Barrett. You got Carlton Davis. Antoine Winfield Jr. There's talent there. So, all that being said, Baker Mayfield is a question mark. And can he protect the football, not turn it over? Wide open division. I got them penciled in at 4 to 6 wins, right? They can do better than that. So, prove me wrong. Tampa Bay gets a 7-8 wins. I don't think they make the playoffs. We'll see. Let's go. Let's quickly wrap this up. Arizona Cardinals are going to be fucking terrible. Kyler Murray probably won't play all season. Right now, it looks like Josh Dobbs or Clayton Tune at quarterback. Jonathan Gannon looks like an abysmal head coach. I think the Cardinals win 2 to 4 wins this year. I think they're the worst team in football. Likely, they're probably tanking for USC quarterback Caleb Williams. They want that number 1 overall pick. I think the Rams are a bad team. Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp can't stay healthy. The Rams 5 to 7 wins. Rams are going to be bad. 49ers are contenders. 11 to 13 wins. If Brock Purdy can stay healthy, this team can go to the Super Bowl. We're headed towards a Niners-Eagles NFC Championship game. I hope we get a rematch. That'll be a lot of fun. And the Seattle Seahawks, I think they're going to be even better. Geno Smith continues to have success. Kenneth Walker is my favorite running back in the NFL. He's an absolute baller out of Michigan State. They add Jackson Smith and Jigba to DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and these weapons. The Seahawks, and then Legion of Boom 2.0, man. Jamal Adams, Quandre Diggs, Tariq Woolen, and you add rookie Devin Witherspoon. The Seahawks are only getting better. Give me the Seahawks to get back to the playoffs, 9 or 11 wins, probably 10 and 7. Get back to the playoffs, maybe steal a playoff win. They held in there for a while against the Niners in the playoffs. Look out for the Seahawks. They're going to be an absolute threat this year. I appreciate you guys. A lot of fun. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Can't wait for week 1. It kicks off Thursday night. We'll be recording an episode after Thursday night, the opener. Hope you guys enjoy this episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment, follow along all season long. The Sports League Podcast. Amanda will be on Thursday night. Appreciate you guys. Have a great week, and peace out.